Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm doing a Prank Kids deck profile. So this is a really fun deck that I'm really excited to build. It's a super cool deck, and actually really budget, to be honest with you, beside the Prank Kids place, which is running about $10 or so. But let's get straight on this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this video down in the comments down below. Hit that bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and let's get straight on to this. But before we do, guys, I really quickly want to give a shout out to Jack. I gave him a shout out in the ABC deck profile back, but this deck actually really reminds me of him. He's trying to build this one. It's a really fun deck for him, and it kind of reminds me of him because he's, just about 6-7 years old. I think he's 7. He's 7, yeah, because he just had his birthday. But I'm really excited to build this deck so I can show it off to him, and he can kind of, play around with it. He's almost got all the cards to build this deck, and I'm super excited to show him how to play it. So let's get straight on this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Prank Kids Roxy's. So Roxy's is basically, all the Prank Kids share the ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for a fusion or a link summon of a Prank Kids monster, you can do a particular ability, and then after you do, you can special summon one Prank Kids monster from your hand or deck in defense position, except another copy of yourself. This one in particular lets you draw a card, which is pretty cool. You banish a card from your hand, and if you do, you get to draw a card. So it can fix your bricked hands really easily. Then we play 3 copies of Lampsies. Lampsies is really interesting because it lets you inflict 500 points of damage, and then you get to special summon a Prank Kids if it's used for a fusion or a link material, which is amazing. Then we play 3 copies of Dropsies. You need to play 3 copies of Dropsies as well. This one lets you gain 1,000 life points if it's used for link or fusion material. And then we play, for the final Prank Kids, we play 3 copies of Fancies. So Fancies is a little fancy. Basically, what it does is you get to Foolish Burial a Prank Kids monster from your deck to your hand, from your deck to the graveyard, which can be really beneficial to be able to just use later in the game. But it's a really awesome deck. I really love the artwork of these. That they have the wind, water, fire, and earth attributes. They don't have a light and dark, and I really wish they would have a light and dark, but I really like it that they kind of kept that out of it, and they had the 4 basic elements, which is really cool. And it's a really awesome deck, to be honest with you. You guys should totally give this one a shot. And it's actually been topping recently, I believe. Then we play for hand traps 3 copies of Ash Blossom just to negate stuff your opponent does, and 2 copies of the Effect Veiler as well to be able to negate stuff that your opponent does as well, just so you can have a little bit more competitiveness in this deck. This deck actually is like a tier 2 deck right now, and it's really good. Like, people are not giving this deck the attention that it needs because it can win games just by the resources that you can out-resource your opponent. And what other deck just floats like this besides Burning Abyss? Burning Abyss is the only other deck that can just float so easily by using them as materials and stuff. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 1 copy of 1-for-1 just to be able to special summon those Fancies directly from your deck, just so you can have them on the field to use them for link materials. 1 copy of Pot of Desires. I just use 1 copy of Pot of Desires because I'm not really worried about banishing too much stuff in this deck, because you just need to have that additional draw power in this deck. Because it really helps out to be able to have those polymerizations and those extra Prank Kids, and we only play 12 Prank Kids monsters, so you need to get to them quickly to get them in your hand. 2 copies of Terraformings to search our Prank Kids place and the other field spell that I'm going to be playing that I'll show you guys in a minute. 2 copies of Invocation. The only reason you play Invocation this deck is to have an additional fusion spell. Literally, this just counts as polymerization. That's all it does. Just read the top effect. Fusion summon 1 monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as fusion materials. That's all you need to read. You don't need to worry about using it as an invocation to summon invoked monsters. We're not going to do that here. 3 copies of polymerization, or essentially 5 copies of polymerization with the 2 invocations. 3 copies of instant fusion, because instant fusion is bonkers in this deck, because you can summon out your Thousand Eyes Restrict, you can special summon out Rocket Ride and then tribute it off, or Weather Washer and tribute it off to get your special summon of your Prank Kids monsters from your deck. This card is such a good card that just counts as additional Prank Kids monsters, and that's what's really cool about playing this card, and it's a mandatory 3 of that you need in the deck at 3 at all times. Then I'm going to show you guys my 1 of field spell. So Comment down below. Tell me what you think this field spell is. It's a definite contender for you guys if you guys want to play something really interesting in this deck. But comment down below. Tell me what you think it is, and I'll reveal it in 3, 2, 1. I love playing this game with you guys. I really do. Because you guys come up with the wackiest techs. And sometimes they're really good techs that I was like, wow, that's actually good. I should try that. So the tech that I'm playing in this deck is 1 copy of Fusion Recycling Plant. So the reason I play this is because once per turn you can discard 1 card, add a polymerization from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, during your end phase, you can target a monster in your graveyard that was used as a fusion material or for a fusion summon and add it to your hand, which is really cool to get you more resources to add them back. And plus, it searches polymerization, which is amazing to have those additional polymerizations because you have to have 2 Prank Kids and a polymerization to get this deck rolling. You have to have that. You want to be able to fusion summon to Rocket Ride, tribute Rocket Ride off, and then be able to special summon additional Prank Kids so you can get some more plays. Then I'm playing 3 copies of Prank Kids Place. You could probably get away with 2, to be honest with you, but I like the 3 of. Just because I had the 3 of, and plus it's a good card to be able to search your Prank Kids cards because it's the big searcher of the deck that you can activate this card and then add a Prank Kids monster from your deck to your hand. And then if a fusion monster that used a Prank Kids monster as materials is on the field, you can increase all monsters you control by 500 attack. And then if you use a link monster that a Prank Kids monster is link summon, then it makes all your opponent's monsters lose 1,000 attack. So it basically puts 1,000 point difference between your opponents and yours. So they either gain 500 attack on your field or lose 500 on their field, which is pretty cool. Then we play 3 more copies of Polymerization, because why not? Prank Kids Pandemonium is basically a quick play polymerization that during your main phase you can fusion summon a Prank Kids fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. So we essentially play 8 copies of polymerization, 9 if you include the Fusion Recycling Plant Searcher. Then I only play 2 copies of Prank Kids Pranks. Now, don't get mad at me for this one. I only think that 2 copies is plenty for the token that it summons, and I feel like 2 is plenty. I don't think you really need 3. I think 2 is fine. And you really need the room for the hand traps, to be honest with you. So I only played 2 in this build. You could get away with 3 if you want to play 3, but I like 2, to be honest with you. I just found the consistency was perfect at 2. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So we're only playing 1 trap in this deck. Well, 1 name of a trap. We played 2 traps. And that is 2 copies of Prank Kids Plan. So Prank Kids Plan is a really good card that during your main phase you can activate this card. Immediately after this card resolves, you get to link summon a Prank Kids Link monster using Prank Kids monsters you control as materials. And then when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your grave, shuffle any number of Prank Kids cards from your graveyard into your deck, and if you do, the attacking monster loses 100 attack for each shuffled 1. So it's just a good 2 of in the deck to get that additional link summon off on your opponent's turn, which is really cool because it says during the main phase. And it's a good 2 of because you can have that banish ability as well. I've considered playing just 1, but I always miss that second one. So that's it for the... I wish they make the dog. I wish they would make the dog as a monster. Make it like a dark monster. And Prank Kids companion or something like that. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, basically it's polymerization of the deck. For the extra deck, we're going to be playing 1 copy of Battle Butler. You need Prank Kids Battle Butler. It does require a specific Lamseys, Dropsies, and Fancies. You have to put all 3 into it to make it. But then you can tribute this card to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So it's a Raigeki with legs, and if this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can turn a non-fusion Prank Kids monster in your graveyard and special summon it. What does that sound like? Special summon the Link monsters, so you can use them as materials to get Rip, Roar, and Roaster. Then we play 2 copies of Rocket Ride. I feel like 2 copies of Rocket Ride is perfect in this deck. I don't feel like you really need the 3rd one. If you want to get the 3rd one in, you could drop one of the 2 Weather Washers I'm going to be playing. But this one takes 2 Prank Kids monsters, and if this card's fusion summon, you can half its attack to 1,000, and if you do, you can attack directly. Then you can tribute this card to target 2 Prank Kids monsters in your graveyard with different names, and special summon those targets, but they cannot attack this turn. Then I play 2 copies of Weather Washer. I just like Weather Washer. It is 2 of. All Prank Kids monsters, if your Prank Kids monsters attacks, your opponent cannot activate cards and effects during the damage step. And during your main phase, you can tribute this card to target 2 Prank Kids monsters in your graveyard with different names and special summon them. They cannot attack during this they cannot be destroyed by battle this turn, which is really cool, and I really like that effect. Then for the Link monsters, we're playing one copy of Rip Roar and Roaster. Rip Roar and Roaster basically is an awesome, like, it's just awesome. It's Harpy's Feather Duster if you tribute it, and then if it's removed from the field and sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can target one card in your graveyard. You can target a card in your graveyard except another Link monster and add it to your hand. Literally any card back to your hand. You can add Ash Blossoms. You can add, like, any of your prank kids that you need. You can add any of your spells that you need. Any of your, like, prank kids plan. You can add anything that you want back off of that Rip Roar and Roaster. Then I played 2 copies of Doodle Doo. I think you only really need 2 copies of it. I love the link arrows of it. I wish this deck had, like, extra link. That'd be nuts. But if this card is link summoned, you can add a prank kid spell or trap from your deck to your hand. That's why I only play 2 copies of Prank Kid's Pranks, is because you can add it from your deck to your hand. And then you can also attribute this card, then target 2 Prank Kid's monsters with different names in your grave, and then you can special summon, add them to your hand, which is really cool. Then I played 2 copies of Bow Wow Bark. I feel like only 2 copies of Bow Wow Bark is needed. A Prank Kid's monster this card points to gains 100 attack, and then during your opponent's turn, you can tribute this card to target 2 Prank Kids with different names in your grave, except the Link monsters, and add them to your hand, which is pretty cool. Then I play a copy of Beat Cop as well, because you can link summon into this really easy, and it's good for the arrows. 1 copy of Mech Knight Avermax. Excuse me, actually, I play 1 copy of Borreload. Take the Beat Cop out and play a Borreload instead. The Borreload really, really helps out in the deck, because the Borreload actually helps you OTK your opponent. I actually slipped that in from a previous deck profile I recorded. So put the Borreload in instead. Excuse me. So the 2 copies of Prank Kid's Bow Wow Bark and the 2 copies of Doodle Doo, if you can get these out, you can go into Avermax really easily, which is really cool. And the Borreload just takes your opponent's monsters, which really helps. 1 copy of Linkuriboh, because Linkuriboh is awesome, and you need it for the Thousand Eyes Restrict that I'm going to be showing you guys in just a second. And something else that's really cool is we can play 1 copy of Totally Awesome, because it's extremely easy to put 2 copies of Dropsies on the field just by normal summoning one and then using another Prank Kids monster to link summon into, and then special summoning out a 2nd copy of Dropsies to be able to overlay into your Totally Awesome. Then 1 copy of Thousand Eyes Restrict, because it's one of our instant fusion targets, so you can just bait your opponent's stuff out with the 1 copy of Thousand Eyes Restrict. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this one. It's a really fun deck to play around with. Don't forget to add that Boral Sword or Borreload or Boral Sword, whichever one. You just need one of the Boral Link monsters to be able to use it for your particular means. I like Borreload better in this particular build, because you can take them and then link summon and stuff that you want to link summon into, which is really, really cool. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this video down in the comments down below. It's a really fun deck. Give it a shot. It's pretty cheap. It's a pretty competitive deck, to be honest with you. It's going to be good really soon, especially on the next ban list, to be, in my opinion, because they're going to hit stuff, and then this deck is going to come out of the brickwork, or people are going to be playing it and testing it. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.